OpenAI is really kind of flooding the market in a sense to lay their claim to a lot of different spaces in there. Because you can get into this game as a company, it's not going to be easy to stay, right? Especially with the bigger companies, the bigger investments. If you can produce things with a small budget, you got to be really, really powerful. You got to really shake up the game like DeepSeek did. It'll be really, really interesting. What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
And I'm your co-host, DJ. What's going on today, Deuce?
Hey man, another episode, another week. So we got a little bit of news update for everybody. So we're going to unpack a few things for them. So today we're going to talk about OpenAI. They have released their deep research to their paying customers, all paying customers, so Pro and Plus model users for ChatGPT. And also we're going to talk a little bit about Qatar and their deal they signed with the AI company to put their bid in for being an AI hub in comparison to UAE and Saudi Arabia. What you got, DJ?
Man, so in more OpenAI news, they released their 4.5 ChatGPT model, which is their largest model publicly released to date. And also Anthropic, they released 3.7 Sonnet a little while ago, talking about some of its initial benchmark. They also released Claude Code, and that's another facet basically that we can talk about. Yeah, Claude Code.
Claude 3.7.
Yeah, so Claude, they announced and released a little while ago Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which is their latest model, and also Claude Code. So we'll talk a little bit about that so we can kind of go over those. I mean, they look super solid, and Claude has always been solid when it comes to coding. So we'll talk a little bit on that as well and give everybody updates on the chatbot arena, the LLM arena, kind of see the current standing as it is right now. What else, dude?
Man, that's about it. We want to wrap up a few more things, but I think it'll be interesting just to see kind of where we're at in the state of AI right now as it deals with a lot of different things, especially this AI arms race that we got going on. So let's see what we all about.
All right. Well, we'll kick it off with a fresh announcement that's out with ChatGPT 4.5. So
let's unpack that.
Yeah, Sam Altman was talking about that not too long ago, about 4.5 and eventually about ChatGPT 5.0 or whatever they're going to call it. But, he had mentioned it briefly around like a time frame. And, here it is, today they dropped it. And, of course, they dropped it with benchmarks, and they had like a team kind of showing, like they had the product manager, I believe, and two of the developers showing some of the use cases and how it compares to their reasoning models. Pretty interesting. What are your takes on these models? Because OpenAI, one thing about it, I mean, like it's cool. I like that they have it, but they have a lot of options. And Sam Altman's also mentioned that is just like he understands that as a consumer, we go there to those platforms and you have 4.5, you have 4.0, you have three versions of O3, right? Like the O3 mini.
Yeah, 03.0 and 03.mini.
Yeah, well, there's like mini high, mini medium, and then mini low, I believe. You just have these, a lot of different options, and it's going to confuse the consumers, especially consumers that don't.
I think so. No, I think what OpenAI and Sam Altman they're doing, I think they're flooding the market essentially, right? Because like you said, a lot of these models can get confusing to the consumer. Just try to figure out and navigate which one to use. Granted, I know that there's a reason and a purpose for all of them and the updates all of them bring. However, it's interesting, you could say, just from if you take a kind of step back and look at the business model that they're using, they're literally flooding the market with different models to control that. I think take a giant chunk of the AI market, right? So that's kind of where I sit with it. Like I said, I get, a lot of the models, but and I like using a lot of them for different things, but I just know that it's going to be to the everyday user, the average user, I should say, it might get confusing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if necessarily they're flooding. I think, they're, and it could be. Maybe it's just that they just have like a lot of different options that are out there. And I know from a development standpoint, right, from an API standpoint, like when it comes to the cost of certain models, like you may want some of the older ones, or if it's doing like a small process in your workflow, and, you may want a more robust model, like one of their reasoning ones, right? If you have like a agentic workflow and you have, a main orchestrator.
So no,
like
I agree in that sense, right? The everyday avid consumer, yes, but to your average mundane consumer, it's one of those things where it's like, where do I start, right? Like having different flows for the different models, yes, but I guess it really depends on, like, let's say if there's like, hey, okay, if I just wanted to start using this, does it matter what model I use? I don't think there's enough. I will say there's more of a learning curve trying to figure out which model to use if you're not familiar with it. If, like I said, if you're an average mundane user trying to model your way through learning AI and different prompts, right? Trying to figure out which model model to use to best suit your needs could be confusing. But like you said, having different flows and different things for different users, especially the everyday user that wants to use and stress test some of their prompts, is perfect, right?
For sure, yeah. And that's with the 4.5 model. Going back to give you all the TLDR. So essentially this model, if you want to think of it, you want to think of it as not like the O1 models, like the reasoning models that have a high emphasis on test time compute where it's thinking. This is more so like the 4.0 model. So with this model, 4.5, this is, like it says, their largest and best model. And this one seems more natural. So like when you ask it questions, they were essentially saying like during their kind of demo of it, that you can ask it a question and that question, it may also be able to kind of pick up on some more human-like things. So like if you say it, write me an angry text to a friend who canceled on you for a third time or something like that. And it basically, like it responded in a way that you're not so upset and so angry. Did the same prompts with O1 and O1 just created it right away, thought on it and created exactly what it responded back. The output was just like the angry text message response. And then with 4.5, they said, after responding back and just, it was kind of like, it wasn't as like direct. It was kind of like more thought out because it's like, basically they're saying like it picks up on like you might be in a certain mood right now, but it may not be exactly what you want to do. You know what I mean? So it kind of picks up on like, I wouldn't say like maybe the sentiment, what you have. Basically, they said it feels very natural and like the output, the responses that they were showing off during the demo, which is on their YouTube channel. You can check it out. They just felt more, and they did, like they read very well. They were very logical in order and they weren't like huge responses like you would get on one of the reasoning models. They were just, they used to say like AI slop, where it's just like all of this kind of response. This was well thought out and organized and pretty concise in comparison, like some other outputs. So it looked pretty good, but this is going to be the new base for a lot of models, right? I mean, 4.5 is like like I said, the largest models, and that model is more than likely the model that they're using or they're going to use on O3 when it comes out, the full O3, like the base logic model that they have, as when it comes to the reason model. So either way, like I'm excited to kind of leverage this, use this, and also see how it works in some of the agentic workflows that we have using this model in comparison to the other ones to see kind of if there's better performance that you can get out of your workflows or, see if it enables like something new. That's what OpenAI had for their latest. Did you see their demo or what were your thoughts on 4.5?
I didn't get to catch the demo, but I'm going to go back and check it out. I think it's going to be definitely something that's going to, like I said, they're ever changing, right? And they're ever evolving. I mean, even to a point now, they have their deep research open it up to all paying customers. So if you're on a pro and or plus model, deep research is available to you to use. So I know you've checked it out a little bit, right?
Yeah. I've checked out the deep research because I wanted to compare deep research. Well, not everybody has it, right? So Perplexity announced deep research. OpenAI had their deep research. So I'm glad that it's available for plus users because it was already for pro, but now plus enterprise and team users can leverage the deep research. Google was the first one. So I have to give
Yeah,
credit to
Gemini,
them. Yeah.
deep research, right?
Deep research with their 1.5 Pro model. And then there was another one. So it's Perplexity, Google. Oh, Grok. Of course, Grok, they have their deep
Yeah, Grok.
research.
Yep.
Yeah, Grok 3. So yeah.
Man, which is really interesting because, like I said, I have a few friends that are, in academia, and I kind of want to ask them, if they would use the deep research for some of their research as far as what they're pertaining to in their work and at school, right? Like, how would that aid them in what they do? Because when you think about it, I feel like you can get things done a lot faster, as always with anything related to this. But I guess the prompts you use, how deep can the rabbit hole really go?
So with the deep research, what I've noticed is they have different styles, like Perplexities, pulling information from web and everything like that and kind of pulling it together. Theirs seems to bring back a response faster, and their deep research is a lot more concise. It's not like huge response. And conversely, like when you look at OpenAI, when you run deep research on theirs is a lot. Like, I have the longest output, I would say, that I've seen when it comes to deep research has come from the OpenAI using theirs. And then with Google, I really like theirs, honestly, because theirs is really good. It's solid. I can't wait till they upgrade the model that it's used. I would anticipate, better results. Not saying that it's bad, but right now they use their 1.5 Pro. So I can only imagine when they upgrade the deep research to their 2.0 model or 3 or whatever they're going to do with that. But I love it because when it comes back with their response, you can automatically open it as a Google document and save it like to your Google Drive. And I just like the breakdown that it has. That one just, and also that was the first one. So I was using that extensively a lot. I was using that a lot. And I noticed like with the deep research, like it can pull, that Google, they own YouTube, right? So it pulls in a lot of YouTube videos, and it pulls in like it just seems like it just grabs from a lot of places. But when you use open AIs, and you can also use it on mobile as well, it doesn't necessarily show you like all of the like information, kind of like where Google is showing all the information, where it's pulling all the things from. It just like shows details, and it kind of gives you more of a summary. But open AI is kind of like that, where they're kind of doing a lot of the magic in the background, and then they come up with the output. And that's just personal preference on what you may like. But either way, all of them are solid. I'm excited that everybody has this now, because I think it's going to save a lot of time. And like I was telling you before, Deuce, like, where was this when we were in college or in high school or anything? They talk
Man,
about research
I'm saying
papers.
like it's
Yeah.
listen, not even research papers, just trying to figure things out because you got to think like a lot of those topics are like sometimes I could barely understand what the professors were saying. So I'm like, okay, I got to do my own research now to figure out how to turn my homework in, right? Where was that at then? But no, I agree. I think a lot of in school assignments or just in general being at work with things, trying to solve different topics could have been a lot easier with this. But yeah, so what else? What else we got to unpack, DJ? I know it was a couple things we decided. What else we got?
Yeah, so in addition to OpenAI, like I said, they just released their 4.5. And definitely check out their release that they have. They have like what we're just showing, benchmarks and initial things, and they kind of measured it against ChatGPT 4.0. So definitely check that out, and check out OpenAI's YouTube, where they have the demo video of 4.5 on there as well. But as we were mentioning before, not too long ago, Anthropic, they released their Claude 3.7 sonnet model, and then Claude Code. And so Deuce, you might, I don't know if you played around with Claude Code, or if you looked at that, but I mean,
Man, I'm
as
biting
coming
at
from
the
your
chops.
developer's perspective, like I think,
Listen, I think Claude Code is very interesting. It's very, very unique in a sense that I'm not worried it's going to take a software developer's job, but it is very, very good at what it does for not being a person coding, right? If that makes sense. So if you're a developer out there, leave some of your thoughts in the comments about Claude Code 3.7 and whether you have used it or want to use it, but it's very interesting as far as building out applications. However, I know there is still a little bit of work that needs to be done with it as far as, following certain prompts and certain language models that you can add to it as far as code languages to learn. I know it has some support for a lot already, but there are still some holes in it, but it's very, very good at what it does and very fast. So it's it's almost like scary fast at what it does. I like Cloud Code. Like if you really want to, not necessarily learn, but if you really want to build some applications, this might do it for you. Very, very complex code scenarios, in my opinion, top of the line right now.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, and I'm not a developer, but from what I've seen, and just like I've been using like tools like Coursera and, some other things like that, just to kind of play around, just to kind of, I think a lot of them, they're calling it vibe coding or whatever. So I guess I've been vibe coding, right? Just to kind of play around with it in different environments. And I think that's been cool. But I mean, with 3 point, like Claude, everybody already knows, like developers and coders, they've always praised it like fast. And I mean, it's like apparently like that's the throne that it sits on, is when it comes to coding. Like that's the best model for there. But the cool thing also just about the 3.7, like getting away from the code, but going back to Claude 3.7 Sonnet, is this is like their first hybrid reasoning model. So like, you had the models from ChatGPT, which we were just talking about, which is the O series of models, which is the reasoning models that take more time. The test time compute is what they focus on, so they'll think, and, you can kind of see that. And then it comes up with a response versus just like a first shot response, like the normal models that they've had out before. But now they have essentially where they give you the option, like you can kind of throttle it. So you can kind of select how much time it thinks on something. So you can either use it directly out, like equivalent to a 4.5, like where you just ask a question and it comes back with its first response, or you can give it more time to think. And basically you can kind of throttle that to say, okay, think on this a little bit more if it's a complex problem. So I just think that's pretty cool. And that goes back to what we were saying before with having those options to, like if OpenAI just kind of collapses, like not having so many is like where you can just ask a question and it figures out if it needs to do deep research, if it figures out it needs to search the web or whatever it needs to do to kind of answer the query. Like everybody kind of wants that whole, Google back early 2000, whatever it was, when it was just like the search bar, right? Like, I think most people just want that kind of experience, and maybe they don't, we can leave it in the comments if you prefer like the breakdown and you have your options and your a la carte menu, or if you just want it to be super simple where you pose the question and you want you want some kind of routing to happen where it picks the best model and thing to use on the back end. But either way, I'm super excited for this. And I've always been like, Claude's been solid, fast response time and all those other stuff. stuff. And it's good just honestly just to mix it up. Like, a lot of people, they'll stick to one platform. Some people stick to Gemini and Google's and all in their models, and of course ChatGPT in theirs. But you got to really have to try them all, because you may be surprised on which one that you end up preferring.
No, absolutely. No, I think that's a good point that you bring up. Like I said, there's a lot out there, so whatever one that you prefer would be, I mean, up to you, right? Moving forward, I got some bit of a news update, a little bit expounded into my scenario of the AI arms race. So Qatar, the country, right? They have announced the government has made a partnership with the AI data company Scale AI. They're going to be deploying AI powered tools that are training to push and improve their government over the next couple of years, which seats them and puts them in a great position to be an AI hub and powered, right up there with United Arab Emirates, UAE, and also Saudi Arabia. And, Qatar is a big ally of the US. Like, I know they're not getting too political on it, but like the AI arms race is I think a real thing in my opinion. And I think this really goes to show what you can do with AI. You can really help solve a lot of mainstream issues like government issues and problems, which what they are planning to do. So it's really going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out, because whatever they come up with can really be blueprints for governments around the world to really take shape and form. But it's really interesting just to see the different aspects that goes into the applications of AI, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's pretty cool. But yes, so Qatar is throwing their hat in the game, the AI game. I know last time we talked a little bit about France. Of course, we know China's doing a lot of different things, different companies out there, but France, had that billions of dollar investment. Now Qatar is throwing their hat in the ring to become an AI leader, which is really, really interesting, like I said. So that said, I think that over the next 2 years, right? 2 years, we're really going to see a boom in different things happening. So like always, man,
I
I
mean, I
think
think it's
just stay
now,
over the edge.
man. Like even now, like as
Yeah,
you,
that's why I say, I mean, now is here, but I
yeah,
mean,
now it's here, yeah. And I mean, 2 years, I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know what scale it'll be on, but
now these investments are happening, but the technology is already here. It's just what comes out of these investments is going to be insane, in my opinion, because there's a lot of money over there in the Middle East, a lot of oil money, a lot of petroleum money, a lot of different things. So Qatar, like I said, have you seen or been to Doha? I have a couple of friends who've been through there and been there, and it is absolutely gorgeous over there. I think was it the World Cup or something over there recently?
maybe,
So
yeah. But I just know, no. I mean,
it's
I've seen pictures, and I know people that dad was military, so he'd been over there, and he sends pictures from just a lot of different
let me
places. You know
tell
what I
you.
mean? Like, it's beautiful. One thing I would say is just like when going back to what you were saying, I don't want to lose track of that. Is everywhere, every country's throwing it in, and I know I've been seeing things like on Twitter and whatnot or X about the UK about like are they hindering themselves because all of their regulations and like it's kind of slow there. But I kind of get why it's super important. Like you want to make sure it's you have good regulation and all those things in place. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But, all these countries are really delving into this, into this space with investments and everything like that. And it's very interesting. And you saw the deep seek effect, right? When that happened, when that impacted the US stock market. I mean, like these advancements are also, I mean, they're really causing different market valuations to change, right? Like, so as soon as the innovation happens, if you're on the bad side, like if you're just, people are just like, oh, why are they spending all this money,
You
when
know,
only took deep.
this kind of reminds me of the dot com boom a little bit, how people are investing in it, right? The dot com boom, people were investing in companies all over the place because it sounded good and it was new and fresh. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to pop like that did, like, well, crumble, I would say. And I won't say it crumbled, but I think that the investments people are seeing, it's flashy, it's new, it's great AI, and they're investing quick because they have the compute power and they have the data and the resources to do it and to build out these applications. But it kind of reminds me how people are investing. Like I said, so Reuters reported that there's no actual number value of what the deal is worth that Qatar did, but I guarantee you it's up there. Like I said, they're a big petroleum and gas producer. That money is there. Okay.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying, like, like the dot com, like that bubble or whatever the case is. You remember the Humane pin or whatever and the Rabbit R1 and like, remember those, like a lot of people wanted to invest in that. And those were big deals at, some point in last year. And I think Humane just recently, a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago, they, threw in the towel, like saying that they were completely like shutting it down, that it
Close
won't work
shop.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things, but that's just the name of the game when it comes to innovation innovation and carving your path. I mean, a lot of
Well,
people are,
absolutely, right.
all these startups are kind of trying to, think something and be the next one. And I love it. The large action models that they were, especially Rabbit R1, like I was like, man, that's really cool. That's kind of getting into this whole agentic workflow. And then now we have, everybody else coming out with their agents and slowly rolling.
And that kind of goes back to my point of I feel like, OpenAI is really kind of flooding the market in a sense to kind of, lay their claim to a lot of different spaces in there because and not just them, but other companies are really trying to position themselves to stay for a long time because you can get into this game and as a company, it's not going to be easy to stay, right? Especially with the bigger companies, the bigger investments. Even if you can produce like DeepSeek, if you can produce things with a small budget, you got to be really, really powerful, right? You got to really shake up the game like DeepSeek did. So it'll be really, really interesting at the end of the day.
I can't, I mean, I always say I can't wait to see what's coming next. I mean, like, but it's just like every day, every day it's like, and
Every day is
I
something
say
new.
that, I'm just like, well, but I mean,
Every
even
day is
robotics.
something new.
And we'll be talking about some of the robotics because also it's eluding me the name of them. I'll drop the link in the description as I think about it. But just saw a video, one of the robotics come at Figure. I think Figure's latest robot. This one was like doing packaging, like few of the robots, and they were like assembly line essentially, or some kind of line. They had packages, I guess like UPS packages, if you will. And it was like scanning the barcode, and they were like kind of parsing them, and like they were just continuously going, and they sped it up, and you could just see them going and going and going, and like it's just crazy. I mean, like you see more and more, and it's becoming more common, right? And then it's just interesting to kind of see not only from the AI standpoint, but just robotics, and a lot of those things go hand in hand. It's just interesting. And then you see use cases like the augmented reality glasses that people, and then they're tying that in with the AI capabilities, and also Amazon Alexa Plus. So they had their info. We'll talk more on Alexa Plus coming up here pretty soon, but they showed the video on that one and like really conversational. Innocent, like, do you want me to order this? Do you want me to book a reservation? Do you want me to, like you were asking a question about something else, and it was just like, oh, I know you like. I think one of the examples was just like she was talking to it about something else, and then Alexa Plus responded saying, one of your favorite artists is coming to town. Do you want me to book a ticket? Like something along those lines. And so we're getting into like some really, really cool and exciting space. But
Deep
yeah.
conversational.
Yeah. It's basically like in one of the little snips, they were saying, oh, so I can just talk to you now? And she was like, yeah, like the voice, whatever one that they selected. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
No, I agree. I think overall, as we continue to bring these updates, there's going to be a lot of great use cases that come out of everything, right? Even if you look at use cases for science, right, and medicine, AI is really tapping into that. There's problems that AI was able to crack in 2 days, whereas it took some scientists years to solve the same exact problem, right? So there's a lot of good things that are happening with AI and everything else that's coming out with a lot of this technology and innovation. So I think all in all, we're trying to keep you guys afloat with all of the updates that we see. There's so many, so we're going to try to continue to bring as much as we can and give you guys, our thoughts of what's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully this information, like I said, as we bring in more people to kind of interview and talk through people in the industry, just to remind you guys again, like with myself, product management background and Deuce, like with development, and we've worked with artificial intelligence before, like, the LLM models, were super popular with traditional models, and just working in that space with consumer facing experiences. And then now even working with automations and helping small companies build automations for their small businesses. Like, we're just, a fan of the technology and definitely futurists, I guess, if you would call us that as well. And we still need to unpack a lot of the image to video models, and just like because VO2 is now available, that you can use that from Google. Kyber has done some updates. Just a lot of these different models in general. Like if it's the video models or just large language models, there's just a lot going on all across the space. And then softwares like we were talking about before with Cursor and Bolt.new, just different platforms that are popping up and enabling cool things as well. But what I'll leave you with here is currently the LLM board. We'll bring this up from time to time. Chocolate, like I was telling you before, Deuce, as it's called, that's currently winning still, and that is the Grok 3 model, the early version of that model. Still winning in the leaderboards. But like I was saying, we've got to put some respect on the Gemini models. They're still there. They were leading it for a while. ChatGPT's 4.0, the latest model, because they make updates to it every so often. So this one's at the end of January. That one's still at one of the top ranking ones as well. And of course, you have DeepSeek here. But 4.5, as that kind of gets into this arena, I want to see how that kind of plays out. And you see some of the O1 models down here. But yeah, a lot going on.
Hey, a lot going on, a lot more to come, and we're just here to keep you guys afloat. So we're going to do what we can to help you guys, and hopefully, you guys can take something and run with it. If you guys find something useful from our videos, let us know what it is, and we'd love to hear from you.
For sure. Well, we appreciate it. Leave any questions that you have in the comments, and stay tuned as we're going to start bringing in more guests, so that way we can kind of talk through them, more entrepreneurs that kind of talk through how they're using technology to basically help accelerate their business and accelerate their growth, and how I use it in real estate investing, Deuce, and how he uses it with his automations that he has set up as well. So the whole gamut. So that way we can kind of provide you guys with a view of what that looks like in practical, everyday small businesses and things as people scaling up their companies. But other than that, please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate it. Peace.
All right, peace.